It was a fresh-faced and distinctly less tattooed Dustin Martin that made his AFL debut way back in round 1 of 2010. A high draft pick with lofty expectations, Martin, not yet in his iconic number 4, showed glimpses in his first season of the footballing gifts he possessed.
Good opportunity here for the Tigers. They go for home and Martin.
The early years at Richmond were a roller coaster. The talent of Martin never doubted, but he was at a club in disarray, languishing at the bottom of the ladder, with their future champion still finding his way.
Martin missed training on Tuesday morning after a late night on Monday.
From Dusty's from a point of view, we take prescription medicine that isn't yours, and to drink alcohol is a no-no.
A couple of off-field indiscretions in the early days, the on-field exploits, though, a sight to behold.
Look at this from Dustin Martin, from the boundary line, bends left to right.
He would become one of Richmond's all-time greats, but it might have been over all too soon. In 2013, Martin was captured touring the Giants facilities. A trade was never requested, Dusty staying in the yellow and black.
He has a chance now, but Martin normally does something in this situation. What a beautiful snap!
Martin steadily built from promising youngster to seasoned performer. It was in 2017 where he announced himself as the competition's premier player.
Traps it beautifully, swings around now, snaps it towards goal, and kicks a sensational goal!
Martin's 2017 year was phenomenal. So good, it prompted Lee Matthews, one of the greatest players of all time, to say it was the best single season by any player in history.
The inside-out bender, Dusty.
Martin won the Brownlow Medal in 2017 with a record 36 votes. Dusty at the centre of Richmond's incredible rise as they broke a 37-year premiership drought.
He's got it. The champ's got it.
A Brownlow, Norm Smith and premiership medal all in the 1 week. Martin, a true big game performer. Perhaps the best finals player we've ever seen.
Dusty! Dusty! Dusty!
You could argue he was best on ground, or at least close to, in every single final he's played.
Martin in an impossible position. Oh, no, it's not. It's Dusty.
Martin's performances in finals perfectly captured everything he was as a player. Unstoppable in 2 positions, whether it be in the midfield where he couldn't be beaten.
Dusty, oh Dusty, that is classic Dusty.
Or inside 50 as a damaging forward, like his 6-goal display against Brisbane in the 2019 qualifying final.
Here comes Dusty on the left.
A 3-time Gary Ayres Award winner for the best finals player, 3 flags and a record 3 Norm Smiths. Through this period where he and Richmond dominated the game, he remained a unique character. Dusty left his car at the MCG for 2 months after one grand final. He was busy celebrating.
Let's go!
If there's one game that perfectly summarised Martin, his showpiece is the 2020 grand final.
Spills to Martin, little right foot slider along the ground, he's got another one.
4 goals to haul Richmond from a half-time deficit to a dynasty-defining 3rd premiership in 4 years. Literally, the stuff of legend.
Still with Martin. Can he kick a 4? Oh,
With great athletes, there's always one particular asset that separates them from the rest. Dusty was a great kick, a tremendous mark, but he'll always be known for his fend.
Martin, get away from me. Talk about confidence. Martin took on 3. Who else wants to come at me?
can he break this one? The full-on front-on stiffer.
Just as effective as his on-field palm has been his fending off of the limelight. Such a commanding presence on the field, but shy once the siren went. One of the most reclusive players we've seen in the modern era. He's rarely done interviews, we only hear from him occasionally, and the mystery only adds to the Dusty aura.
I'm obviously not a big fan of the media or talking in front of people, so yeah, I've just got to deal with it, I guess.
Do you want me to keep this short?
If you can.
An extraordinary player, a fascinating figure and a most decorated career. Dustin Martin, one of the greatest Tigers of all time. Justin Edwards, Fox Sports News.
For more on this story, let's go to Drew Jones, who joins us now in Melbourne. Drew, great to catch up with you. Look, it was the news, I guess, many thought was coming, perhaps at season's end, but now we know, and I'm sure it's dominating conversation, and for all the right reasons where you are.
Hello, Jim. What about this lack of a sense of theatre from Dustin Martin? He's been a big game player. He's always stepped up in the big moments. 3 Norm Smith medals in 3 winning grand finals. But he can't even give us a proper farewell game. I guess in some ways maybe it's not surprising. That's the character of the man. He's always been a bit aloof, and he's been a bit of a mystery for us right throughout his career, right from the start and right to the very end. But we don't get a proper opportunity to say farewell. It ends up being his last game against North Melbourne at Marvel Stadium on Saturday afternoon as his final appearance as a Tiger. 302 games, 338 goals. He went through his honour roll. It is unmatched in modern football. He is the greatest modern-day player alongside Lance Franklin, and Dustin Martin will go down as one of the best players in AFL, VFL history. A big game player. Absolutely critical to that 3 premiership run from Richmond. They essentially based their game plan around the idea that everyone will play a role and Dustin Martin will be able to do pretty much whatever he wants and lead us to victory. And Damien Hardwick implemented that so well alongside Dustin Martin. A genuine Iron Man, barely missed any games, fronted up week after week, performing on the big stage. It has been quite incredible to follow his career right the way through. It hasn't quite been the same in recent years. As Richmond have dipped, so has Martin's form and consistency. And then this year, there's been issues with availability. He's had a back injury in recent times, which has kept him out of the side. He was able to get himself right to play North Melbourne on the weekend, but it has been a struggle for him. His body eventually letting him down. Whether he has the motivation mentally to play on, I guess we'll probably never really know, because we're not likely to hear from him in any sort of retirement press conference. And it's unlikely Jim will get to wave goodbye to him on grand final day in that motorcade. It wouldn't be a surprise if we didn't see him, I guess, in the footy world for quite some time, but we can certainly celebrate his achievements. The news breaking probably only a few moments ago, really, so we asked Luke Beveridge about it in his press conference this morning.
Yeah, Elliot just mentioned that Dustin's retired. Well, what an unbelievable career. I remember way back when Richmond drafted Dusty, and one of my great mates, Jace Taylor, is Melbourne's national recruiting manager, and I remember Jace saying to me at the time, I love this kid, he's just going to be an amazing player. And he's usually pretty right, Jace, and he definitely was with Dusty, because he's when you think of the heroics during their premiership years and what he's been able to do, and yeah, nothing but respect and admiration for him, and obviously our club, on behalf of our club, we wish him well with whatever the next part of his journey is.
Yeah, as mentioned, Drew, there was that hint he could have joined Damien Hardwick, his former mentor at Richmond, on the Gold Coast, but it would have been hard to see Dusty line up in anything other than the famous yellow and black, surely.
I think it was a nice storyline for us to speculate about, and there's no doubt that Gold Coast certainly made their pitch to Dustin Martin about him moving up north, talk of potentially a 2-year contract being on the table. I'm not sure that he had 2 years of footy left in him, but yeah, you're right. Hard to imagine him in any other Guernsey other than in the yellow and black. So I think that the likelihood of him playing on at Richmond next season was always pretty low. So it was a question of whether he would hang the boots up entirely or go to the Gold Coast. In the end, Damien Hardwick wasn't able to tempt him into playing for the Suns next season. It was perfectly poised in round 24 when they take on the Suns at the MCG for that to be potentially Dustin Martin's farewell game, playing against his former coach Damien Hardwick, but it hasn't quite materialised. And really it marks probably, Jim, the end of an era almost at Richmond. We know that obviously Damien Hardwick is long gone, and then Brendan Gale is heading to the Tasmanian Football Club venture to be CEO there. And a lot of those senior players involved with the premierships have departed the club. So the Tigers, with Dustin Martin now retiring, very much into their generation next as they try to replenish and rebuild and aim for their next dynasty. But for now, we celebrate what has been a quite outstanding career Dustin Martin, one certainly we'll never forget.